Hello, all you hardcore boxing fans out there. How are you doing? It's Big P here from Porky's Corner. I hope you're all okay and doing fantastic this Sunday morning. First of all, before I introduce my guest, I want to thank everybody for pressing the join button who's joined. And we put the money towards a couple of productions a month. So thank you very much. It's $5.99 a month. But YouTube take 30% off us because they are slumlords. Uh, Today I am joined by Rico, but I want to thank everybody for subscribing as well, leaving a comment. Rico is the guy who started Porky's Corner with me November 2017, and I didn't even know how to plug a computer in. How are you doing, Rico?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Sunday sermon of Porky and Riku.
Yeah, there's not only Dave Caldwell, Dominic Ingle, Shane McGuigan, Ben Davidson. There's not only them lot that do sermons. We do sermons too. But we were doing them before any of these people, when they all used to laugh at us. But they're not laughing now, are they? Because they want to join us lot and eat off our table.
It's funny, all these boxers, people in boxing, they've got their own YouTube channels, they're doing constant interviews, and it's a good point that you made. I remember a few years ago when Bunsey and all these other people are saying that who cares about these podcasters and YouTubers, they have no influence, they don't know anything about sports. But now you look at guys like your channel, Terry, Ultratech Raw, Boxing Asylum, Martin, all these guys, they're doing their own thing, and fans are moving towards that, because I think fans are bored of IFL, and we'll probably come to that why I think IFL has taken a massive L this week.
Massive L, Jesus, the top at list with helmets, although it's halfway through a month and there's still time for it to change. But the helmet votes in for them lot is unbelievable. Coogan, Omar, all of those. But where should we start, Rico? Where should we start?
Yes, we have to go back to last weekend before we go into this weekend's delightful matchroom card.
Well, what did you think to the Billy Joe Saunders affair?
Yeah, I mean, look, let's start with the build-up, right? I think with the build-up, you could see already that there was inclinations that Billy was nervous or, didn't feel comfortable. Maybe it was just the heightened media commitments where you have to do as a fighter in these kind of fights, and, that's added pressure. Also, he was fighting in Vegas in a big fight. He'd never had that before. Then you get into the fight. I think it started all right, but Canelo was in control throughout the fight, so I don't really understand how people scored it to Billy. I personally gave him a couple of rounds, and those were sort of squeaked through. But once Canelo it's one of those fights when you watch it where even though Billy's throwing off decent shots, patty shots, Canelo's always in control, and Canelo's the boss in the ring, and I mean that has to influence the scoring, and Canelo's throwing the heavier punches. I think around round 5 or 6, Canelo sort of realised that Billy's not going to be throwing any power shots, and lost a bit of respect for Billy, and walked him down and caught him in the 8th round, and that was it. I mean, it was, and in terms of the whole corner charade that we had, I mean, look, he quit, right? There's no two ways about it. He quit the fight. My definition of quitting is that when a fighter either takes the knee and doesn't want to continue, or when a fighter allows their corner to pull them out of a fight. And I think there's nothing wrong with quitting a fight, because Billy wasn't going to win that fight. But we can't really mask the fact that he allowed his corner to pull him out the fight, and he didn't really resist in any way. It doesn't matter what Ben Davidson said. The fact that we've got these Ben Davidson interviews where he's telling us one story, Mark Tubbs's interviews are taken down, and then in addition to that, when you watch the fight back on DAZN on the app, all the talk from the corner in that round has been removed, which tells me that somebody doesn't want that conversation to go out there. And I don't mind. Look, he quit the fight. I would have probably done the same thing. I'm not a fighter. But if you're coming out and saying that Dubois is a quitter, and you're coming out and saying that you're dying or Shield, then you have to take some of this blame. I mean, yes, all fight, Duran quit a fight, right? Inoue fought through a broken orbital bone. Hagler's fought through a lot of pain and stuff. some fighters can do it, others can't. And I think in Billy's case, he wasn't winning the fight. It was only going to end one way. So I see why he quit, but you can't get around the fact that he did quit that fight.
Okay. Who stopped the fight, in your opinion, Rico?
Well, look, it's your corner's job to check that you're right. That's the primary job of your corner, right? If a fighter doesn't give the right signs, they make the corner stop the fight. You can say that whoever waves the towel, right? Or whoever tells the ref, they stop the fight. But in actuality, it's the fighter themselves that doesn't give the right signs. If Billy Joe would have said, I want one more round, just give me one more round, just please give me one more round, I think it would have been different. And as I said to you, and I think Terry alluded to your chat with him, you know, if he was hard, if it was the 11th round and Billy Joe was up on the scorecards 11-0, he would have continued and the corner would have happily made him continue that fight. So I think ultimately it's down to the fighter. It's hardly ever, the only time you see a corner calling a fight off is when the corner waves the towel mid-round.
Do you feel that Billy's took it bad because he's not been beat since Olympics in 2008?
I think he's taken it badly because of the backlash he's got, because of what he's said. I mean, that's come to haunt him. You need to be careful about what you put out there, because one day you might be in the same position. And also, if you think about Rocky Fielding, he got knocked out. Callum Smith got beaten handily over 12 rounds. But at no point did Callum Smith quit. I mean, who has quit against Canelo? Can we name another fighter that's quit against him? Lara managed to do 12 rounds against him. Austin Trout got, I think, knocked out in the 8th or 9th round, but, you know, he fought quite well. Or no, I can't remember whether that went on points, but nobody else has quit against Canelo.
Yeah, it's a tough one, and I've had a bit of stick, as you know, for saying that Billy quit. But that's my opinion, isn't it? What's people want to get personal and carry on like they do because I've got an opinion. In my opinion, he quit, right? And there's no shame in that, because if he's saying he's got a bad eye injury, which is yet to be confirmed. I mean, I read something this morning that a lot of people are saying, where's these x-rays? Where's the pictures of him at the hospital? Where's this? Where's that? There's no of that out there. There's no interview from Bill out there, is there? No photos of him. He's just gone underground, hasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, look, Eddie Hearn was telling everybody when Daniel Dubois took a knee after fracturing his orbital bone a few rounds earlier and couldn't continue, Eddie Hearn was saying, we don't believe you until we get the x-rays. With Bill, we go in based on something that Eddie Hearn allegedly said to Mike Coppinger in the lobby of a hospital, you know, in the lobby of a hotel the next day. I mean, I don't think fighters need to prove that they've taken damage, and it doesn't matter, even if nobody has an x-ray machine ringside, right? They can't tell whether they've been cut badly or, you know, whether it's fractured or whether it's completely shattered. So I think pulling him out of the fight was the right thing to do. And I don't think boxing fans should be harsh on fighters that quit. But at the end of the day, if you're saying that you're never going to quit, then that's on you. That's on the fans.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it? What next for Billy Joe Saunders?
I think he's going to retire personally. He's made enough money. You know, there's a few good domestic fights that he could have. You know, Chris Eubank Jr. being top of the list, the rematch. But ultimately, Billy Joe's made his money. I don't think he's ever been the most dedicated fighter. So why take a big pay cut to fight against somebody domestic? And also, with an injury like that, if you're going to chase another title, you're going to end up against a guy like Charlo or Plant or Benavidez. It's not guaranteed that he's going to win. I think he won that title in Stevenage against a pretty poor opponent on a Frank Warren card in the stadium fight. So I don't think that kind of gift's going to be there anymore. I can't see him going down to 160 either. So I think his options are really to quit the sport.
What about the silence from, you know, your Bellews, Bean, Nelson, Macklin, Oliver, people like that? And then they've got people coming out and say he didn't quit. We all know who they are, don't we?
Yeah,
you think that people are playing their hands to curry favours, and other people are thinking, I better not say no here in case it comes back at me.
I think Sky. I mean, if you think about Belly, Bean, Macklin, Nelson,
Oliver.
If you think about those guys, right, it wasn't Sky fight, so I don't think it's in their interest. Billy Joe won't be fighting Sky anymore. It's not in their interest to give any sort of credence to the fight or, make it a big deal because it wasn't on their channel. He's never going to fight on their channel. I'm not sure how many of them like him. Bellew probably likes him because he knows him. So I understand why they aren't saying anything because they're not going to be talking about a BT's fight unless there's something that they can kick BT with. So I understand that, but some of the others, we've had obviously people come with different narratives to what they came with Dubois, which is very disappointing, but that's just because of MTK, right? A lot of people want to butter up MTK and they want to say the right things. And we've got guys like Dave Caldwell coming out with an interview every day saying the right things for MTK so they can get MTK fighters. So you've got a lot of that going on. But the problem is people just turn off boxing content, don't they? Whether that's your IFLs, Boxing Social, others, because I don't watch that stuff much anymore because I can't be listening to the constant lies and spinning and, all you really want is the truth, like real opinions, right?
A lot of these people, there were 57 videos on IFL, 57 quick videos on IFL. They were working around the clock to get them out there when Daniel Dubois got injured. But we don't see the same energy for the Billy Joe quit, do we?
No, and we've got that Ben Davidson video, which is basically him just reading out key messages on what MTK and Billy Joe Saunders want him to say, which I think is embarrassing given he's a trainer and he's a boxing analyst. How are we meant to take somebody seriously if they lie into our faces?
Have you got the Mark Tibbs video that he's put out today, Rico? We could put that on now. Have you got it?
I can get it on, but I'm not sure what the sound quality
Let's see if I've got it. Turn my phone on.
Well, we can just summarize what he says effectively.
Go on, basically, we know what he said, don't we?
Well, you know what he said about the corner situation. He said Ben Davidson sort of rocked up there and turned up, and he also
turned up at weigh-in, didn't he?
Yeah, basically. He also then he was whispering in Billy's ear between the round.
That about? It's lack of respect, that. Do you know, one thing I noticed, we're working closely with Peter Fury. Peter Fury, what voice in corner, when Savannah were fighting in Bulgaria, Robin Reed were in corner with Peter. Robin said something, shouted some instructions, and Peter said it. So I'm the one that's in charge at corner. So, well, I can understand that. And
well, that's how it should be.
Yeah,
right?
that's how it should be.
One voice in the corner, and whether that voice is right or wrong, the fighter can't process information from multiple sources. And also, when you're whispering in the fighter's ear, what are you doing? Are you contradicting what the head trainer's saying? Are you trying to get your own point across?
A good assumption of that, or a good to run something similar to that. Dave Caldwell shouting instructions and Xavier Miller during the Povetkin White One fight.
Exactly. I mean, it never works.
Conflicting. Did Caldwell work for the rematch? I don't think he did he?
No. Do you think, if we think about like trainers, do you think somebody like Manny Stewart would allow that? Do you think somebody like Teddy Atlas or Costamoto would have allowed that?
No, I don't think they would.
No. Do you think Angelo Dundee would have allowed that? No. No chance at all. That's not going to happen.
No.
But Billy creates that situation himself by allowing Ben Davidson to come in the team during the week of the fight, right? That's Billy's own making.
Would Adam Booth go to Adam Booth? He's the best. Would Adam Booth allow it? The Dark Lord. Would he allow Ben Davidson?
Richard Towers is in the corner with Adam Booth every so often.
Yeah, right? But it's Adam's word final, isn't it?
Well, it's Adam's word only, right? You can discuss in between the rounds. Or
Richard won't allow it with Cash. He won't allow somebody like me to go in corner and say, Cash, throw a jab, son, down to belly button. You know, that spear jab that Andre Ward used. It's a very underrated punching box, and all your young boxers out there, a jab to the belly button. That gets you time, gets you breathing, it gets your breathing space in round. That's a very underrated punch. I don't see a lot of fighters use that in the UK, but Ward used to use that all the time when he was tired. You know what I mean? So
No, 100%. And also, it's a good measure of distance for creating some impact with your punches. So rather than sort of jabbing in the air to measure the distance, you actually do that a bit lower down.
I know. Look at us getting technical on a Sunday morning.
No, Terry will be proud.
Terry, we know you're watching, Terry. That's your domain. We're just spectators, Terry. We leave the technical stuff to you because you've got a trainer's license and we haven't.
No, we just casual keyboard.
We're just casual keyboard warriors. Trolls. We're trolls.
Anybody in boxing that has an opinion to troll these days.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that's it. So basically, it looks like there's a bit of beef there between Mark Tibbs and Ben Davies, and then we're going to be, won't there? Because Mark Tibbs is an alpha male. He's obviously, his dad's a legendary, well-respected guy in the East End of London. Obviously, you know, he got a big sentence, didn't he, for something that he believed in, defending his family, and his dad went to prison as well. He got 15 years, didn't he? So they're big on pride, big on morals, and they're very honest. I've always found Mark Tibbs and Jimmy Tibbs spending time around them to be very honest and very respected. So if you were going to put people on a lineup, because we're going to get Billy's statement this week, I'm assuming, aren't we? So probably Billy, Mark Tibbs, Ben Davidson. Who do you believe out of them three with their track records?
You know what? I believe Mark Tibbs because Ben Davidson has a horse in the race. He's MTK, Mr. MTK.
Yeah.
Billy's obviously a fighter, so he's got his pride. So he wants to create a story that he has the option to continue his career at a similar status as before. Mark Tibbs, you know, he doesn't have much to lose. I wouldn't be surprised if he never worked with Billy again. I don't know this for a fact, but I just feel like the way how things went.
No, I don't think he'll work with him again.
No, exactly. And also the shenanigans Billy was trying to pull before the fight, it's not classy particularly, and I don't think it's...
They wanted to come home, didn't they?
Right, yeah, of course.
Till Eddie had an ace in the pack, John Ryder, were boarding a plane. That made them all sort themselves out, didn't it? But he looked like he was going to gallows, didn't he, from the beginning, didn't he, Billy?
100%. Yeah, I think the whole thing's been a mess, and I think boxing in itself has come out in a very bad way, and particularly the YouTube channel. So I'd say mainly IFL, and the reason I say mainly IFL is because Coogan and Umar have been so visceral in defending Billy Joe. I don't understand why. You know, they meant to be an impartial media outlet to share boxing news and views. Whether that's entertainment or not, that's up to you and me to decide. But they've come out so biased, and they haven't given the other side a fair hearing, and they haven't got people on channel to say Billy Joe quit or, you know, share those views.
Is that Omar, the guy who was called Scousers, bin dippers, and said things about Manchester people and stuff like that? Is that
the same man? Yeah, Umar. I
thought he got sacked.
No, I mean, look, he got suspended for a while, but he came back. But I don't.
Coogan suspending people from. Oh God.
I don't think, you know why he was. Those were like dug up old tweets where he was suspended. I mean, if we digging into your old tweets or my old tweets or comments, I'm sure we'd find something that would upset people.
Tweets, I'd just like to get back on there, mate, and let it rip.
Yeah, if we go to the old,
yeah.
So I think, yeah, I mean, look, they've got a 3-line whip. We have to remember they're owned by MTK, IFL, so there's nothing impartial about them. Michelle Joy Phelps, obviously mates with Team Saunders. Then we have everybody else sort of being told, you know, when you given certain people to interview, you're going to get a certain story, and that's what they're really pushing for.
Do you feel that people like the interviewers, Michelle Joy Phelps, Umar, and all the rest of them who were doing the interviews with Mark Tibbs, do you feel that they didn't show Billy Joe Saunders any respect in the questioning because they were looking for views, weren't they? Right.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think they did the right job initially.
Yeah. There were no favours done for Billy, were there?
No, but why should there be favours done?
Yeah, but once it looks like Billy spat his dummy out, and then the videos have all had to come down. Then you've got Coogan going around the houses saying, "Look, I'm gonna have to take that down. Hey, you're all right about this, blah blah blah." Well, it's not the first time Coogan's took a Mark Tibbs video down, though, is it? Because he took the one down when he had a bit of beef with Dylan White, didn't he? There was something said, and Dylan White didn't like it, and Coogan took that down. So who controls IFL? Is it Billy, Joe Saunders, and Dylan White? Because he's always saying, Coogan, that they're his close friends, that them and Dave Allen. So, but we had no Dave Allen videos took down. But
it's who controls IFL? It's MTK owns, right?
Well, yeah, obviously, yeah, but
so MTK control IFL, and then also the promoters, particularly Matchroom. So if Eddie doesn't like something, Eddie can get taken down.
Without a shadow of a doubt, mate. Without a shadow of a doubt.
So what's impartial about IFL? Like, why do people watch it? Why do people subscribe? Because
they want to see the content, don't they?
Yeah, but is the content effectively what Eddie and MTK are telling us?
Yeah, they're pushing the narrative. You see, another thing about that narrative, and I mentioned this with Dale Nichols earlier, the voice of Hardcore Pay-Per-View. Big shout out Dale Nichols and his podcast, but I forgot what it's called.
Midlands Football something.
Is it Midlands Football Podcast or something? Yeah, is he a Wolves fan or something, isn't he? Anyway, to go a long story short, IFL were in dressing room, aren't they, when Callum Smith got beat against Canelo? They're in there when Rocky Fielding got beat. They're in there when most people get beat against Canelo. We know that. There's nothing with Billy Joe. Nothing. No interview. No nothing. No video footage at the hospital. No nothing. Nothing at all. It's like it never happened. And like I've just said there, we've got all these people, the Sunday Sermon gang, they've all come out, done their interviews. Fair enough, boxing is subjective. The ones that haven't, they're the ones that, in my opinion, know it was a quit. Otherwise, they'd have come out and said it wasn't a quit, wouldn't they? Am I right?
Well, why? It's not necessarily that, but what I find funny is that we don't get why somebody thinks it's a quit. So we don't get, it doesn't matter who it is. It's just more a case that we just have a one-sided story here, and it's not. It's ridiculous in my opinion. Let me just put up IFL and try and see if I can find one video where somebody says about. Yeah, you've got like the classic Tom Letzel. You've got Darren Barker there defending.
Defending who?
Obviously, Billy Joe. You've got Ryan Rhodes. You've got Josh Taylor. The whole MTK crowd. So why don't we get a single video saying, even John Ryder? Why don't we get a single video, Gareth A. Davis, your mate? Why don't we get a single video where somebody comes out and says, yes, he quit, but I understand why he quit. It's not.
There ain't one of them, is there?
No.
There isn't one of them, is there? But yet there were 57 on it with Dubois. But there isn't one coming out saying, no, I think he quit, but I can understand why. Not one. But yeah, people have said it. Steve Goodwin and Martin said, look, he quit, but there's no shame in that. This is why I can't understand it. I think Billy's let his son down, really, because it's just gone and rambled on and on and on. And like today, 7 days since fight. I'll move on after today from this. Yeah, you don't hear me going on about Joshua Fury much. In fact, nobody even believes it because there's a very strong rumour doing rounds that it ain't going to happen and that he's going to fight Wilder if this judges thing in America goes the other way. He's going to fight Wilder apparently, and they reckon it could go that way. So that's Sam Watson from Al Heyman's teams telling people he's front man, isn't he, for Al Heyman? Yeah, he's saying, listen, Wilder's going to fight this summer against Fury, and if that happens, that's Eddie Hearn in the right tight spot. So Warren and Aaron will have pulled the master stroke, won't they? But where does that leave Joshua? Got to fight Usyk.
So let's look at this. Last Saturday after the fight, so Sunday morning UK time, Eddie Hearn came out and said, we'll have an announcement this week on venues. Everything's going to be announced. 7 days later, we don't have an announcement. This has been going on for months, right? Eddie's going around telling us interviews that, it's in Saudi, it's the 14th of August. We're trying to work something out that fans can travel. I mean, look, it's not Matchroom working out, it's the government rules. The government will decide where people can travel during this pandemic and where they can't, and what the quarantine rules are. So I don't think we're any further with that fight. There's obviously the arbitration in the US, which you mentioned, which can go a few ways. So some of the ways I understand it can go is that they might say that Fury has to pay damages to Wilder for not honoring the contract, which could be in the tens of millions or something like that, effectively, which is like loss of income. Or they might say that they have to go ahead with the fight and honor the contract. But either way, if they find that Fury's at fault for not honoring the contract, it's a lot cheaper and easier for Fury just to fight Wilder again rather than to fight Joshua, because if you think he makes, let's say for argument's sake, he makes £10 million for this Joshua fight, just for argument's sake. If he has to pay £5 million damages to Wilder, what's the point of fighting for half the purse against Joshua? So I think nothing can be confirmed or nothing can be sort of decided until they know what the outcome of the arbitration is.
Well, I feel vindicated if he fights Wilder, because I've been saying it from day one, haven't I?
So have I, to be honest. I mean, look, they've got contracts for a reason. Do you think Shelley Finkel and Al Heyman are just going to be looking from the sidelines and watching these guys make the money? They want their slice of the pie, and I think that's fair enough. You sign a contract, you honour that contract.
Yeah. Natasha Jonas, she looked gorgeous last night again, didn't she?
She tweeted about something that she couldn't get a dress off, or she had trouble getting a dress off, so I'm sure a lot of people wanting to help her with that one.
Now, Natasha, did she? Was there some sort of disagreement with the company man Johnny Nelson regarding Boatsi and Callum Johnson?
Yeah, so I think Johnny Nelson said something along the lines of Callum Johnson's a step back for Boatsi, and Natasha
what? He's just fought a guy, right, who's got 2 wins over. What? Hang on, I've got it wrote down here. 15-0, and only 2 of them have got winning records. So other 13 had losing records, and he's fighting Boatsi, who's going for a world title. He was 751 to win on points on Sky Bet. You know that, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
750 to 1. He were 100 to 1 on. And Johnny Nelson said he's best trainer in the world, Virgil Hunter. What? We only saw him for 10 minutes yesterday as a trainer.
Shawnee Monahan, who Callum Johnson beat, was a legit sort of contender type guy. So I think Shawnee Monahan would be a good step up. Probably not now. He's got 2 losses, Simon Barrera and Callum Johnson and Marcus Brown. So those are 3 losses, but he's got 2 back-to-back losses. But someone like Shawnee Monahan will be a step up for Boatsi, but Callum Johnson's a big step up for Boatsi, but that's never going to happen.
Well, this is how I look at it, right? If Callum Johnson fights Joshua Boatsi, Callum Johnson's a favourite in my eyes from power and experience. He's a favourite in that fight, a big favourite. And they're not going to do that. They're going to try and pinch a WBA, aren't they?
Yeah, of course they are. I mean, look, that's what you do in boxing. I think with Boatsi, right, it's 5 years since the Olympics. He's been fighting for 5 years. How many fights does he have? 13, 14? He hasn't fought against anybody legit. The guy that he fought against last night didn't look like Boatsi would even get him in for sparring, to be honest. He's headlining these cards. I understand when you get a new trainer, you want to get an easy touch just to see, other things working, gelling. This guy was a step too low for even that. Boatsi got nothing out of that fight. He didn't improve anything. You could have beaten him without Virgil Hunter in the corner. I think with Boatsi, the train is passing quickly. I mean, he's 28 years old. I think he's been very badly matched and managed, and he might get the step up, and that's when he gets beat because he hasn't been progressed in the right way. And I think he's a very talented fighter, but these fights are doing him no favors at all. Yeah.
Are you looking forward to my video that rocks boxing tonight, Rico? 6 p.m.
I am indeed.
Told you it would come in, didn't I?
Yeah, exactly.
All them people that doubted me, you never ever doubt me again. You might get me when I get to 60, but never doubt me again. All your girlfriends are now at stake.
What did you make of the card last night? I think it's.
Thought it was shambolic, wasn't it? I mean, who's in charge at quality control? Did you see? If you put a tenner on, you won £12.22, didn't you, with William Hill? So, and that's if you back all own fighters. So, and actually, one of them slipped up on it. Did Cunningham beat Yafai, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. But
he was going to retire yesterday, Cunningham, as well, if he got beat.
Yeah, I mean, look, Yafai isn't what we thought he would be, right?
He did well. Look, Jason Cunningham winning the European title. I mean, I messed up his boxing, but he'll take that. And Steffi Bull's done well to get him in that position, hasn't he? I think so. Even though I don't like him, he's done well, hasn't he? To get in that position.
I think.
Steffi, come see me.
I think he's done well. I mean, Yafai got beat by Gav McDonald early in his career. I think he's sort of at that British level, fringe European level.
That last night were area level English. Come on, that wasn't British level last night.
You know why he beat Josh Whale, though, your guy, and Bobby Jenkinson.
Listen, Josh Whale had an off night, mate. I thought he fought well that night, Josh, actually. But Josh would beat him now, though, wouldn't he?
Possibly, yeah. I mean, it's a good fight. I mean, that would be a good fight to get Josh's name up there. It's a good division. It's not high level in Britain, you know, guys like Brad Foster and others. So I think you've got a good mix of guys that can fight against each other. And
let me tell you this: Jason Cunningham and Josh Whale. Josh flogs him in sparring regular when they sparred, and they won't take that fight against Josh. They won't take Gavin McDonnell against Josh Whale. They won't, because he's fresher than them, and they're all similar age, but he's in better nick. Do you know what I mean? At this stage of their careers.
Yeah, look, you've got lots of guys there. You've got Lucian Reed, Case Ashback, lots of guys at that sort of British fringe European level. So Josh could fight any of them. Yafai could match any of them, and I think it would be a good fight. I think Cunningham's the perfect guy. If you want to get your guy up there, you just...
he'll not last one defence. He'll not last one defence. No.
I think somebody like Thomas Patrick Ward should probably step sort of back down and fight him.
Lee Appleyard got knocked out, but I don't know where he goes now. I mean, how are they passing medicals to fight? He's alcoholic, him. So he's not covered himself in glory, turning up in that kind of shape. Shocking, man. Getting knocked out against a novice like Dalton Smith like that, with all that experience. Come on. Jeez.
I mean, Dalton Smith's record's been padded quite nicely.
Padded? He's got more padding in it than Mothercare.
I think Dalton Smith's the next Jordan Gill, personally.
Yeah, as soon as they step up, we get found out, won't they? Look, these kids, you can't rush them. I don't know. On the whole, last night, what would you give the show? A 4? 5?
Out of 10. 1. It was terrible, you know. It was an awful card.
But compared to what we're normally used to, the Cunningham fight saved it, didn't it, really?
No, by judges just show before the fights, right? You could have a very badly matched show or very one-sided match show, and if there's a few upsets, you think it's better. But if you look at the card as a whole, is that any better than some of the MTK cards that we had pre-pandemic?
No.
This is a televised show with Joshua Buatsi headlining against a guy that should not be in the ring with lots of... Remember, I told you, if I put £10 on all the home fighters, I get £12.40 back or something.
Do you think it's something to do with quality control? Ed Robinson, Bean, or whoever's in charge there? Do you think somebody needs to put their hand up and go, do you know what? We just want to get these shows out of the way and get rid of Eddie Hearn.
I think that's it. And I think it works both ways. I think Hearn just wants to get some of these guys out there so that they're ready for the second half of the season where they'll be fully DAZNed. I think there's one more Sky show, allegedly or supposedly sometime June, and then that's it.
Just in July or something, Newcastle.
Yeah, I think that's the Ritson headlining.
Yeah, that's the last one for Eddie Hearn, isn't it, with Sky?
Yeah, that's it. But even that's going to be sort of run-outs for the lads and ladies, and then after that, everybody will be back in there.
What cramp? Okay then. I'm going to throw a curveball at you here, Rico. What's happened to spin it? I'm going to do. Do you remember him, Miami Dolphins, Don Strop, the old gunslinger?
I remember Dan Marino.
Dan Marino from Miami Dolphins.
Yes.
Yeah. Kid Gallard against Yazzie Dickens. It's all gone quiet. Supposed to be a done deal. What's happened there?
So MTK won the purse bid for that, right?
Mm.
I wouldn't be surprised if Kid Galahad was fighting in the US.
All looks a bit smelly, doesn't it, at the moment, that. But, well, Kid Galahad doesn't sell a ticket in England. And I don't think Yaz is a big ticket dealer either. So I don't know what's happening with that. But I hope Yazzie Dickens fights him and wins. Because Kid Galahad, I don't like you. I hope you lose. But I hope you get home safe to your family.
We're going to have an interesting... I'm actually quite like Kid Galahad, but we're going to have an
I don't like him. He's a bullet.
We're going to have quite an interesting thing because obviously MTK don't have a TV deal per se. They obviously have a TV deal for the Golden contract on Sky. Matchroom will be fully DAZN. So I think part of what's happened is, and the silence is getting this deal done because Matchroom need to create a schedule for the UK. And there's no point in winning these purse bids anyways, because then just don't take them, Matchroom, do they? So I think I wouldn't be surprised if Kid Galahad was fighting against somebody else on a Matchroom UK card in the fall, maybe even in the US against somebody.
Well, they won 8 purse bids in 35 years. They don't like going purse bids because they're not in control, are they?
Well, you've just done a Dale Nichols then, given the stats.
Eddie, when are you going to win a purse bid? I mean, they couldn't even win purse bid for Eubank Steve Collins, could they? You had to fight Collins twice in Ireland, but yet Eubank were a 5-year champion. You couldn't make it up, could you?
No, but I think it's also because they're accountants, aren't they? They don't want to give their own money and they don't want to reveal their own book. So part of it is that. And also, these fighters at purse bid levels are like cannon fodder, aren't they? So if Kid Galahad goes to another show and wins, that's a bonus. If he loses, they can just ditch him.
What about Dennis's interview on Seconds Out? I didn't know Seconds Out were the biggest outlet in boxing worldwide. Did you know that?
I mean, how do you define that?
I don't know. Dale Nichols told me, I think.
I think it's really about how you define it. Do you define it under numbers or markets that they...
subscribers, apparently. We've got more subscribers, aren't they, in boxing?
I mean, do we believe subscribers? But here we go. So I was thinking about this. I think it's an interesting concept, and I'll give you why it works and why I don't think what the big challenge is. So I think why it works is with this void of Sky potentially leaving boxing, as Dennis mentioned, there's probably a void to put on shows, but people don't necessarily want to pay for small hall boxing shows. So you get, Dennis mentioned, 150K boxing hardcore fans. And if you look at some of the numbers for some of these Sky shows, they're doing about 100K, right? And these are big names, big Sky marketing. Sky has a big subscription base. So even to get half of those 75,000 subscribing to this channel will be quite, will be quite a success. I think where the problem lies with selling these small hall cards for £5, £5 subscription is that if you're a small hall fighter and you sell 200 tickets, right? What's my incentive as a fan to pay 50 quid for a small hall ticket show just to go and watch my mate when I can just pay a £5 to watch them on this channel? And what that means, it might have a big impact on the ticket sales of these fighters. And if the other promoters realize there's a ticket sale impact and they don't get the same revenue they would get from their shows with this TV deal plus shows, that means that they might pull out. And the challenge there is that how do you actually make sure that fighters sell tickets whilst they get fans? If you think about someone like Josh Well, right? He'll sell X amount of tickets. How many tickets sales does he lose by people being able to watch it for a £5 a month?
I don't think Dennis has thought it out. I think he's just rolled dice and he's just going to see, because
You know what?
That's
I
what
don't think it's a bad. I don't think it's a bad concept, particularly now. I think the timing is perfect. I think the big challenge is how do you get people to sign to yet another subscription, right? Everybody should pay for their subscription for Porky's Corner.
Yeah, of course they should.
Then you add DAZN, which is £2 at the moment. Will probably go to £7 some point in the fall. Then you add, if you want to still watch BT boxing, you might add BT or IPTV or however you watch your boxing. And then you might have the odd Sky show here, there, pay-per-views. It starts becoming quite expensive to follow boxing. So what you really need is like big names on these. You need names to attract subscribers. Because I can't be watching on a Friday and Saturday small hall boxing and sort of big boxing as well. I just don't have the time. I'm not going to be spending my Friday watching an Errol Johnson show or whoever's show, right? And then on top of that, watching boxing on Saturday. It's not a full-time occupation. I don't care enough to watch a lot of these fighters because I don't know about them. I'm not invested in them.
Well, if anybody can pull it off, I'm sure Disco Den can, aka Rob.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, look, good luck to Dennis and the team doing it, and I hope it's a success. I just think the demand for watching small hall boxing is limited in general, and that might be where the problem is if other promoters realize that there's a negative impact on ticket sales on their fighters.
Yeah, it's exciting times ahead, Matthew.
Well, you tell me, Ross, right? We talk about, let's take somebody like Gab McDonald 5 years ago, right? Or 3 years ago. How many tickets would you say he would sell roughly?
30, 40 max.
Okay, let's say it's 100 for argument's sake, right?
Yeah.
And these 100 tickets, what area are they from? They all around from Doncaster.
They where he's from, won't they? Dunsville,
Yeah,
Dunscroft,
exactly.
Hatfield, round that way. So.
Exactly. But how many people outside of that area actually want to watch him fight?
Not many.
Not many, yeah. So what you're effectively doing is you're taking away some of those ticket sales, because some people will say, actually, I can get it for a tenth of the price.
People will want to stop in and order a chinky, won't they, and get a few cans?
Exactly. And the other thing is, so that takes away from those ticket sales, and you're not going to have the demand to watch Gab McDonald. So what you need is, that's why Sky and BT work to an extent, or DAZN, is that people across the country are interested in seeing Buatsi fight, or they're interested in seeing some of these bigger names fight because they're boxing fans. Whereas if you're doing it at a local level, you're just eating into your ticket sales.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch because there's going to be. I predict a lot of squirming and falling out and people being dishonourable around all this.
That's the problem, isn't it?
That's what I predict. I predict that in my Porky crystal ball, I can see Dennis saying he created a few more monsters.
I mean, boxing promoters coming together and working together.
My God.
That just doesn't. I mean, that's one of the biggest challenges.
Can you imagine a conversation if we're going to go on something like this? How are we doing it, Sir Dennis? Can you come and see me? I've got something bubbling.
You know what? I genuinely wish them the best of luck, and I hope it's a success. But
I don't.
Of course.
I don't. No, do I, Eggman? No, I'll just tell it the truth. I hope it collapses. I hope they say, Porky, you was right. I'm not going to sit here and wish them, fuck. At least I'm honest.
You know me. I've got nothing against them.
I'm not like people who go, oh, yeah, good luck and all that. Fuck off. Just tell them straight. If I'm not involved, I don't give two shits if it does well or not. I haven't got my time invested in it no more. I've got my time invested in here now, and it's going a bit better than I thought. But, okay, we'll finish off on this. Josh Taylor Ramirez, who you got?
Before we jump into that, can we talk about the fact that no UK TV channels has picked it up? So we've got Fight TV, which has picked it up. So it shows this is one of the biggest fights UK fighters fought in.
Why ain't Dennis getting it in on his app, Fight Zone? If nobody's getting it, why don't Dennis get it?
I think Fight TV, which is some other TV channel, has picked it up. But yeah, I think yeah, it's interesting, right? Josh Taylor signs with a US promoter, and nobody's picking up this big fight. Sky's not interested, BT's not interested, DAZN's not interested, but DAZN obviously don't work with Top Rank. But yeah, it's just interesting, isn't it? Like what's happened in boxing over the last few years is that you have to buy so many different platforms and apps in order to watch the sport, which is another reason why the sport isn't growing. But I think Josh Taylor wins. I think Ramirez has good work rate. He's a relatively talented fighter, but I just think Josh Taylor's too big and strong. And I think actually Prograde's probably a better fighter than Ramirez. I was there at the Prograde versus Josh Taylor fight. One of the things you notice is how big Josh Taylor is at the weight. The one thing that could mess you up is Ben Davidson in the corner. I'm not sure how good this guy is as a trainer, so we'll see what the tactics are. And I think it's quite funny that Ben Davidson's a trainer 3 weeks before the biggest fight for his main fighter is hanging around in Vegas, acquainting himself to various different people.
Haney's dad's come out and said, no, Devin Haney's come out, said he ain't my trainer, he just took me on pads. But Ben said he was training him, didn't he, over there on IFL?
Yeah, exactly. Well, this is the thing, right? 3 weeks before your fighter's biggest fight, your guy's out there. I don't know what Josh Taylor's been doing and who he's been working with, but that to me is a massive red flag. The fact that you've got your trainer traipsing around Vegas thinking he's Team Saunders suddenly a few weeks before this. How is that good preparation?
Well, let me tell you this. Ben Davidson's nickname behind within the boxing circle and around certain parts of the UK, they call him Johnny on the spot because he's always there, isn't he, or thereabouts, isn't he, hovering about. When I've heard stories about him in Vegas hovering around the right people, and he's come from nowhere, hasn't he, as an aerobics instructor or something. So
basically, a fitness coach, right?
Fitness, whatever. Everybody starts out as a fitness coach. Before you know where you are, they're going to interviews with board to get a trainer's license. So that's how it starts, mate. The point I want to make is Fury, Saunders, Taylor, all undefeated, all world champions, all somebody else's work, dropped on his lap. Now undefeated Devin Haney, he thought he could go for fourth, but it looks like he's backfired, doesn't it?
Well, Fury, Saunders, Taylor, what's the thing in common with them?
MTK.
Exactly. So, but my worry for Josh Taylor is that his trainers more focused on parachuting into somebody else's camp 3 weeks before the biggest fight of his career, focused on doing IFL interviews, talking about Billy Joe Saunders. All of his energy and focus should be with training Josh Taylor for the biggest fight of his career. Because actually, this is not just for Josh Taylor. This is very much make or break for Ben Davidson. Yeah. Because if Ben Davidson loses with Josh Taylor this fight, and people are going to ask, what has this guy done in boxing? He's made Fury shed a few pounds. He's got Billy Joe Saunders' worst performance of his career against Akavov on a BT card all those years ago. What else has he done?
Yeah. He hasn't really done. No, what's he done with Isaac Lowe? I mean, what happened to him?
He's on borrowed. Ben Davidson is on borrowed time, and he's more focused on raising his own profile rather than getting his fighter ready.
It looks to me like he tries to exert himself into every trending story in boxing. Every situation, whether it be Tyson Fury, getting drops against Wilder, or if it's this thing where Mark Tibbs has stopped the fight, he's now saying he stopped the fight. If you don't believe me, ask Saunders, he'll clarify it. He exerts himself into everything. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Every single story.
Look at it this way, right? He's trained Tyson Fury, a heavyweight. Talk about the trainers, the heavyweights, when they switched guys who they're training with. Dillian White has switched guys recently. Ben Davidson was not in the process. Parker switched guys recently. Ben Davidson was not in the process. Josh has switched up his training team, not his main guy. Ben Davidson was not in the process because if you think about it, if he was that good, wouldn't you want the guy that worked with Tyson Fury to get in the camp for the Ruiz 2-5? None of these guys.
What it is, but these people are signed to MTK. So when MTK say, look, we recommend you go with Ben, you feel obliged, don't you, to get to try and see if it works out. Didn't work out with Tyson, he dropped him. Looks like he's dropped him as well, Billy, but then he's had him back, hasn't he? I think he's dropped him a few times. He dropped him after Akov, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
So he's had him 3 times, Billy, now. Tyson had him once. Taylor's got him, but then he's pimping himself out during camp with Taylor with other fighters. So I don't get that. He's trying to make it about himself. Ben Davison, you're trying to make it about yourself.
I don't think it's
concentrate on your fighters, Ben Davison. Do your job.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think he's necessarily a bad trainer. I just think it's everything around him which isn't particularly encouraging.
Yeah.
You know, if you had, let's think about, you know, guys like Xavier Miller, right? When Mark Tubbs was training Dillian White, and Xavier Miller was sort of the second trainer there, right? Mm. If you had Xavier Miller going around constantly trying to make it by himself, that just wouldn't look any good.
Yeah, I agree. Okie dokie then. Well, listen, thanks for coming on, Rico.
Thank you for having me for the Sunday sermon.
Yeah, Porky's Sunday sermon. Porky and Rico's Sunday sermon. We've done a Dale and Porky, and I've done a Rico and Porky. I'll get Chris Ward on, I think, this week next. Chris Burns. We'll get Kent back on. Get them on. Beef members.
Shout out to Kent, the hardcore ball hardcore.
The hardcore's hardcore.
Yeah, I like Kent.
He's all right, Kent, isn't he?
Yeah, Kent's good on this channel. Yeah, adds a lot of value, and he's got good views.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, listen, what you got planned for the rest of the day, Rico? What, 12:10 Sunday? Bit of lunch?
Yeah, something like that. I mean,
what are you having out nice?
Probably spag bowl or something. The weather's not great.
Spag what? Bowl?
Spag bowl, yes.
Is that what Jess calls it? That's not Finland lingo, that is it, spag ball. That's something that you'd get in Rotherham. Spag ball. Oh, God. All right, then, mate.
How about you, mate? What you got planned for the rest of the day?
I'm going to go down to my mum's in a minute. I'm going to go down there for a game of pool, I think, and go see my mum and dad. Then I'm going to go probably have a shake and then watch Liverpool beat West Brom and go a point behind Chelsea.
I heard that Smedley beat you in pool every time.
Smedley, is that what he told you?
Yeah.
Can't remember. We had a game at, Barnborough? A pub in Barnborough. Is it Crown? I'm not sure what it's called. We had a game. The worst Taylor I've ever seen. I think he beat me a couple of games. I think I destroyed him the second time. But yeah, he's all right. He don't drink, does he? He's a shandy man, isn't he? Shandy bass.
Yeah. Well, shout out to Smedley, one of the best trainers in the
He's having his teeth done, you know, same company as me.
I mean, who isn't at this point, right?
Yeah, well, anybody wants their teeth done, Cosmetic Beach, come and see your Uncle Porky. But he's been knocked back 8 flights. I've been knocked back 3. So, but I think when I go in August, I think it should all be uplifted. Because he's in red zone, isn't it, Turkey?
Yeah, that's the thing.
But he's having his done, so we'll look a right pair of crocodiles when we've had them done, won't we? Gee,
you'll look like Ryan Rhodes.
I hope mine don't look like Dougie Joyce's. Has Ryan Rhodes had his done?
Oh, he's got nice white teeth. So
Ryan. He's a good looking lad, Ryan Rhodes, so I'm not in his league. But all right then. Well, listen, you take care. And I'll probably speak to you later on.
Everybody subscribe and pay for the Porky Express train.
Pay for the Porky Express train because we tell it straight. Nobody says it like we sell it. And for the record, this video is not getting taken down. And on that note, have a great day, kid.
You too, mate. Cheers. Thank you, everybody.
Bye. Well, that was my good friend Rico Helia, I can't spell his name, from Finland, now lives in London, speaks better English than me. That's about it. 12:15 on a Sunday. Been here since 9. Be well one. And get this uploaded. And then I'm going to do a Lee Priest tricep workout. Remember him, Lee Priest? About that tall, isn't he? Peace out. Oh, thank you for subscribing and leaving a comment, all you people. It means a lot to me. Shows that you care. Boom, boom, boom.